will be common tools for new usage, big data resources for L2 users, translators, and lexicographers. And the speakers are Vincent Wang from University of Macau and Lily Lim from the Macau Polytechnic Institute. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. This is a paper jointly prepared by myself and Professor Lily Lim. The general topic is this. We have tools, Google-based big data tools, and also language resources, which are basic for corpus linguists. They are child work. But for language learners and translators, these tools can be very useful, I guess. So let's start. Yeah. So we'll look at some just commonly used big data resources for language learners in terms of their writing, for example, and also for translators for suggesting good translation alternatives, candidates. And last, I'd like to share some concerns. So the first 2 points about the good things about big data and perhaps AI. The last thing is about some fear that I like to share about big data. Again, we'll look at 3 examples. First, the English expression interested in doing something and interested to do something. When to use which? Can we just totally ignore the interested to do things? So we look at big data resources, evidence. The second is about gaming and gambling in terms of their usage. And the third one about translation alternatives and sense disambiguation, the use of translated text to disambiguate the 2 affixations. One is prefix and the other is suffix. So in terms of language learning and writing for L2 users, the primary resource is dictionary. There's a award-winning beautiful movie recently shot in Japan. The lexicographers were making a significant project called 大渡海 in Chinese. They collected real-life data about language use to compile, to integrate the information into this great project. So dictionary is one of the resources. Other things like the usage guidebook and native speakers advice, of course. But we have to note that the lexicographers have been used corpus for many years. For example, John Sinclair in the 1980s used corpus, and then the examples in the dictionary are about the real authentic examples. Yeah. The rationale is this. So since we now have since now we have the resources and lexicographers are using the resources, can we put the same resources to the hands of language learners? Can they access the resources and benefit from the resources in their language learning? Things like Google Books, Ngram Viewer, Google Trends, corpus, the monolingual corpus, the large ones preloaded to Sketch Engine, and also the parallel corpus. Can they be used by translators and language learners? Resources are here. go quick. Now I have a few questions. If you can answer the questions online, that would be helpful. So in a sense, when you answer questions, you will see from the language learner's perspective to make a decision of which word to use. Now I switch the presentation so that we can see the questions and also the QR code at the same time, so that if you can scan the QR code and answer questions, it will be great, and I will collect the I will access the results very soon. So the first three questions about interested in and to, and the other three questions about gaming and gambling. The first question is about visitors with a passion for plays will be interested in knowing or to know that it is the home. It's home to the TV theater. Which one do you use? In knowing or to know? The second one is about I'm interested in seeing or to see how the wedding will change her character in the series, perhaps a TV drama series. The last one, every business is primarily interested in creating or to create large profit margins. Yeah, so I guess you have scanned things. I can just go strictly to the next. I swap back the display. The first, yeah. Now we can look at some evidence. So we basically look at two pieces of evidence. One is the Google Books Ngram viewer. The second is the corpus, language corpus at SKE, the first one. So we can come to Google Ngram viewer. I have this. You just search interested in, then a wildcard verb. Automatically, they will give you things like this is the first line. The top ing verbs are interested in learning, in getting, in finding, in making, in seeing, in knowing, in having, etc. And then we can just see the other one, interested to do. They are top ones. To know is the first one. Now we have two lines. One is interested in doing, the other is interested to do. To do is much lower, perhaps 1/3 of the height of the first one. But can we totally ignore English interested to do? We can see some details, and I guess we can do this. Seeing from this line that interesting to know is the top one, we can highlight it, and then interested in knowing we can compare, which is here. Yep. So in a specific word in knowing or to know, we can see that in knowing is not that high, and to know is slightly higher than in knowing, right? So we cannot be very sure that in doing is always right. I guess a lot of you have heard that second language English teachers perhaps told you interest in doing is more formal, and interested to do is more casual, more informal. So you can forget perhaps about interest to do in academic writing. But is that true? Okay. We have seen that. Yeah, so the top ones, we have seen that. Now we come to second resource. that is the corpus. We can search on top of that. We can search in we call it query language, corpus query language. So interested in doing is here, and altogether in British National Corpus we have 1,300 hits. Some are noise, and most of them are not noise. And interested to do are here on the right, 400 something. But to know seems to be very high. If we come to some highlighted ones, in knowing is pretty low in British National Corpus, but interested to know is pretty high. Then we can't be very sure that we can use in doing all the time. The next question, also for language learner, is that can we have some find some regularities when to use to do and when to use to do in doing. In doing seems to be more general. We have all sorts of verbs in doing, but to know, to hear, to see, to read, to learn seem to be focused, showing some regularity, showing some commonality. Perhaps these words are all about perception. And these verbs about perception tend to be used more concentrated in to know, in to do. So we can see the concordance lines to see examples. Yeah. So that's about in doing and to do, in knowing and to know. Apart from that, we can see also in seeing and to see, and also compare with examples with the evidence of sketch engine. Intending, 18. In seeing and to see are very close, rather high, and to see surpassed seeing in the intending 18. So evidence is pretty clear that the in doing is in seeing and to see can be used both interchangeably perhaps, and to do, to create is pretty much preferred in in creating is much preferred than to create. To create we can mark perhaps it is incorrect or uncommonly used, it's not preferred. So we solved the first three questions. I move on to the second three. That's the first three questions. So first one, interested to know, interested to see will be preferred, and they are precisely what they are like, the usage of the concordance line in the corpus, and in creating is used. So we solved the first one with corpus evidence and Google Ngram books evidence. The second one's about gaming and gambling. So this is probably not right and wrong, but preferred or not preferred, or in terms of connotations each word entails. Would you see her brother's gambling debts or gaming debts? Would you see current problem gaming or gambling? Problem gaming or problem gambling? The last one is the Macau's gaming industry or gambling industry. Evidence from Google Ngram again first. So historically, we can see gaming has been used much more than gambling, and gambling emerged. And this appeared in the paper with Professor Wang and also Longxing Li, published in Sage Open. So at a certain stage, the two words are in competition. Gambling has been in the rise, and gaming in decline. Okay, hear that. And recently, both go together, sort of co-developing in the recent years. Okay, I just go a bit quicker. Then we can certainly just search in Google Ngram books. We found that gaming industry is higher than gambling industry. And then we can search further information with Google Ngram books and to see the collocates with nouns. Gaming with what nouns? For example, gaming. Hold on. We'll come to the nouns. So what nouns go with gaming in Ngram books? Industry, table, gaming table. I guess gaming table is the same one physically to gambling table, but we talk about gaming table more today. Gaming machine can be just video games, so we can't tease out the video game from betting of money. What goes with gaming is industry, tables, machines. And what goes with gambling? Debts, addiction, houses, dens, not a good word, etc. So it seems that gambling goes with words with negative connotations. Then we can just use the second resource, that is the sketch engine, to contrast two words. Using contrast, we can see that gambling seems to be a sin. Is a sin. About luck is about is immoral thing. About immoral things, illegal, is unlawful, and other things. By contrast, gaming go with some positive things, entertainment, etc. So we can show contrast. If the language learners can use that, I think they can be pretty sure when they write that gambling go with negative things about booze, drinking habit, alcoholism, intoxicant, offense, etc. And of course, we can come to the diagrams of words quickly, showing the same pattern that gaming and gambling have different usage. So coming back to the three questions, first one, probably we have to say that brothers gambling debts is more common. It's negative. Debts it's not a good thing. Problem gambling. And Macau's gaming industry is much more preferred than gambling industry, particularly in the government official documents recently. So I hope that I've showed that with corpus evidence we can sort out some problem with word use. And there's some other things we can use with sketch engines, thesaurus, and word sketch difference, etc. I will not go to details. Using very few minutes, I'd like to quickly cover the last point. I guess there's a market first to develop things similar to Grammarly, things like translation aid, using some intelligent design to give translators translation options, for example, which is very helpful. There may be a market for programmers. Now, the important thing about the concern, although big data is good, but big data is frightening They play Go much better than human. AlphaGo defeated human, no problem. That's categorical defeat. And the problem with me is that it has been Go as a game has been perceived as something really human, about human intelligence and human visions. One of the people, Go players, invented cosmic style. In Chinese, call it 大局观, the big picture. Very human things to conceptualize. We believe human intelligence is good in this, but eventually, computer surpasses, eventually defeated human. In terms of language, it seems that a robot can speak language very well, and they can be perhaps better language tutors than a lot of language tutors. Then what about the future? So if Google knows better than what we know about ourselves, and if computers talk better than humans, shall we learn from computers in terms of talking? I know that professional Go players are learning from AlphaGo to play better. Then what is left for us? Can we afford to lose sort of ownership of our own language? Is that the language will be shared by another sort of speaker, computers, and sometimes they do better than us in terms of vocabulary, memory, composing poems. Sometimes, perhaps they're better. Again, coming back to the AlphaGo idea, there are actually different versions. The newest version is Alpha 0, much better than the earlier versions. The lesson I learned is that in terms of decision making, there's still ample room to improve, and humans are far below. We can't be so confident of ourselves in this matter. In terms of playing a game, perhaps in terms of using the language. And then the good thing is that we have A's in terms of language use, translation. Computers help us a lot. But if our minds are lazy, we rely too much on Grammarly, on computer programs, will we lose something? That's my far-reaching concern. Okay, I think basically I finished my talk within the time frame. I leave more time for Q&A. Yeah, thank you.